As I start to cough. All right. We're going live, baby. Hello, hello. Just giving it a few moments here as we have people come in. We're talking about the stress and the impact of telling lies. And I'm just going to wait for a couple seconds for people to file on. And as well, for those of you watching on replay, buckle up, fasten your seatbelts, because we're about to get spicy and we're about to get raw and we're about to get real, because we're going to be talking about something that most people don't really want to talk about. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about suicide. We're going to talk about teenage suicide. We're going to talk about transformation. We're talking about the actual cause of illness in the first place and how to transcend it using authentic truth. I'd like to introduce my homegirl, Megan Alicia Blair, who is in outskirts of Ontario, outskirts of Toronto.
Yeah.
What's up, Megs?
Hello, buddy. How's it going?
Good. I just wanted to acknowledge you, Megan. The first, hey, what's up? Just want to give a shout out to a few people. Golnar, what's up? Tara and Kate from Australia. Wowza. For those of you who I've never met before, my name is Dr.Nima Rahmany. I am a chiropractor who has been in practice for the past 15, 16 years, recognizing that there's a deeper truth to healing that's in the mindset. So I've gone on this journey of mastery of mindset and created a tool that helps people transform their story to one that's more empowering, so that they can move forward and make their message. And Megan's been just one heck of an inspirational story after our overview experience in Montreal this past weekend. And I wanted to share a little bit about your journey, because I think it's going to save a lot of people, and this will be shared with people who are going through some challenges right now and what they could potentially do. So thanks for being here.
For sure. No problem. My pleasure.
So what do you want to share as far as how you first came into this work and what you were dealing with and what it did for you initially?
So, well, this journey has been a couple of years long. Like, it was back in the November 2015 that I first met you, and we did the first workshop, and I was stuck. I was really stuck, and I had gone through a bout of pretty severe depression, getting to the point where a year earlier, I actually had tried to commit suicide.
So you did it. You basically were sitting there. You thought that everything was over. You reached a point in your life. What was going on where you just thought that you just couldn't go on? Why were you feeling so stuck at that time? Because I know that you're not the first one to go through this. Yeah. Where were you at that point?
I just felt like I had lost myself. Like, I couldn't physically. I was so, just disconnected to who I was, to what I wanted, to what I was doing physically. I was just feeling like crap. My hormones were completely out of whack. My whole body and emotions had just gotten to a point where I didn't want to go on. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I just thought it would be easier, instead of trying to ask for help, or because I didn't want to put that burden on anyone else.
Yeah.
And especially as a nurse, I'm usually the helper, not the helpee. Yes. And it was, it just wasn't okay for me to ask for help. So I got to the point where, by the grace of God, I'm still here, because I did actually attempt. I took a whole bottle of pills, and even the doctors at that point were like, I don't know how your liver is not shot. And I remember post that, I remember waking up in the ICU the next morning and be like, shit, okay, I threw in the towel, but
I'm still here.
So obviously there's something.
There's got to be.
Yeah. But then I through. Yeah. So I kind of went through it, went through the motions the next little while, but still was completely stuck in my own victimhood, and I couldn't get through it because I was living with so much guilt and shame from the actual action of getting to that point.
So you got to that point, you did what you did, and
Yeah.
then now for the next year, you're living
Yeah.
with the guilt and the shame of, I shouldn't have done what I did.
Yeah. Totally.
And so
Yeah.
that's when I met you.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we
And
worked on that specific guilt and shame. And all of a sudden, what did you notice?
I got to a point, like when I was at that workshop, to be honest, I didn't think that I could ever get through that guilt. Like I remember coming up to you and like when I was going through my reality scene and be like, there's no opposite of guilt. Like I can't see an opposite here. How am I ever going to get past this? And recognizing in that moment that it was all I knew, and that like looking back at that little girl, that little 12-year-old girl, like that had struggled so much, and there laid my innocence.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so you came out of that like guns a-blazing.
Oh yeah.
You started going like, wow, you went from this depressed young woman, and you came back and you just were like on fire, weren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I was pumped. I was like, all right, I've been given this second chance. I'm finally being able to like get through this guilt, this shame that I was living with, that was, just had buried me again. And I was able to make space for love within myself, and, to do some self-care and get back to me.
Yep.
Yep.
And then basically there was one small little lie that wasn't resolved, just a tiny one.
Just a tiny one. Yeah.
Big, this one right there, just like that. Nothing, no big deal. Just a
Yeah.
tiny lie. So you cleared the guilt of what you did, but there was this still glaring inauthenticity that you were living with.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want everybody to kind of really understand this is because consider that we all lie to ourselves and lie to each other. We lie to our partners. We lie to our spouses. We lie to our family members each and every day. But I'm not saying we deliberately lie. Withholding the truth about who you are is a form of lying. Mm-hmm. It's a lie of kind of holding back, is not revealing everything, not letting everybody know what is, because we're afraid of what everyone's going to think, the ugly truth, that kind of stuff. It's a very common human trait. Mm-hmm. And when you came back and you were on that climb again, you were climbing, but there was this massive underlying inauthenticity you were living with. Mm-hmm. And around what time were you diagnosed?
It was not until like I had gone through, so I was on the high, and then I went through another severe bout of depression last summer.
Okay.
And
perfect.
yeah,
perfect. Let's go into that.
Yeah.
When did you reach that stage? What happened to bring you to that stage? This is where we got to get a little bit real and really share this, because somebody out there listening is actually living with a similar one, that they can be spared this same fate. So go on.
Yeah, for sure. So basically I was still kind of in this high, and I had gone away on my medical missions. I do, humanitarian work overseas. And I also was in a long distance relationship that had been going on quite a few years. And I had this expectation and this, we were going to meet up in Peru. And so I built this fantasy up in my head of what it was going to be like. And I would say after that, when
it was it's a long distance relationship.
It's a long distance relationship. Yeah.
So you only see them how many times a year?
We see each other once a year. And so I had this expectation of what it was going to be like. And it wasn't. It totally crumbled. And we fought a lot. And there were so many challenges in terms of visa challenges and financial challenges. And I came back after that that trip
Devastated.
and absolutely devastated. And
Because it didn't match your little high expectations
no,
of what you wanted him to be, what you wanted you
no,
guys to be. I mean,
not
who can't relate to
no.
that? Who can't relate to like a vacation or a relationship where they're really looking forward to something and they expect a one-sided coin and they're like, oh my God, it's going to be so amazing. And then the other inevitability shows up and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden, you have this crash, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And at that point, now I can admit after going through everything last weekend, like I had this nudge within me and I'm like, fuck, like, did I make a mistake with this relationship? But I couldn't admit that. I didn't admit it to anybody else. So that actually drove me into a really severe depression over the next couple months. And it just spun out of control because I was hanging on to this lie that I didn't want to admit.
And that lie was, and by the way, we uncovered this. Here's the thing that you guys really got to know about this. When the lie is uncovered, not only is it so friggin' uncomfortable for you to confront, but consider that every single person in your family, all in your social structure, social network, know exactly what time it is except you.
Pretty much.
And
Yeah.
it was something that I came up to confront you.
Yeah.
We saw you were doing the work. I came up and I said, all right, Megs, it's time to
Yeah.
tell the truth. And so what were you like? What was it like for you when you were in that moment where I was like, Megan?
I I still resisted the shit out of it. You were there. Like I didn't want to come to terms with it. But the reality was one of the biggest lie was that I was in this relationship for the wrong reasons, and I had the assumption that it was going to fill a void within myself that needed to come from internal things and not, from that this relationship was not going to fill the unworthiness and the shame and the guilt, everything else that I wanted it to, but I still jumped into it.
So
Mm-hmm.
what was the impact of being in a relationship that you were using to fill that emptiness?
Oh, I poured I poured myself empty, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially.
And so what happened financially when everything, like what was the big thing that happened?
The
The pit,
the
basically, the thing that
the
caused you
pit, yeah, was
to look at it
like
and go, I can't ignore this anymore.
yeah, I got to my rock bottom financially and actually had to file for bankruptcy last year uh, as a
And
result, in many ways, of this lie.
so the take home point that I really want to share is that in order for you to get yourself to the next level, if you're feeling stuck, blocked, stressed, anxious, depressed, whatever labels that they give you, because they labeled you, didn't they?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And of course, you get this high with the expectation, it doesn't match. You
Hmm.
get this depression. So, of course, they throw a label around like bipolar, but
Yeah,
of course, you're going to be bipolar if you are unconsciously holding on to a lie, seeking a fantasy, and you don't have somebody outside of you that you trust that can give you that feedback, even though I'm sure everybody around you had mentioned it.
yeah,
The strategic feedback of somebody that you care about to walk you through the steps to actually come to the realization yourself is critical. And if you don't have that, one of the impacts can be your health, your
hmm,
life, everything, your finances, absolute destruction because the universe is trying to get you authentic. Sounds very hokey. The universe, God, your higher self, let's call it,
hmm,
wants you to be real, wants you to be authentic, and will burn your entire life to the ground if you are blind to the truth.
yeah,
And so it forced you, Megan, in a position where you had to kind of take some action steps. And what have you noticed has happened since that painful moment last weekend when we looked each other in the eye and you admitted the truth reluctantly? What's been happening since then?
It's actually pretty incredible. The peace that I feel and the sense of liberation from finally having it open to say, okay, this has been the story I've been telling myself, and this has been my lie that I've been living with for the last few years. It has opened up my, I had the conversations with my family yesterday, with my parents, with my brothers, my aunt, who I'm quite close with, and being able.
What was that like for them to hear you say what you said?
They knew it, but they said, they're like, we are so glad that you got to this point to recognize it, that you deserve more because you needed to get here. It wasn't for us, to reveal to you. And even if we did say it, I wouldn't have listened anyways. I probably would have fought it tooth and nail and got into the defensive mode. And no, there's no way. But every single one of them just validated like that. They're like, yeah, good for you. Like my younger brother, he's like, fuck yeah, finally, like good on you, and you deserve more. And I'm glad that you saw it. You're seeing it for yourself versus us saying it to you, because there's so much more power in it. And I feel that I have my power back, being able to acknowledge this and to recognize that I was living an ultimate lie, but no longer.
Yeah.
And I know that, moving forward, it's just going to be so much more fun.
It's a bit of a wake-up call for anybody who's listening or watching, because I did a kind of a live stream Zoom talk for a group in Australia last night and we were talking about money and mindset. And it's very obvious to see, if you feel that money is just being unconsciously, it's being squandered away from your existence, consider it's because you're not aligned with the truth.
Yeah.
And that it's like when you're not in alignment with your truth and who you are, stating what is and stating facts, your bank account is like a sieve. It's filtering away. It's like a leaky bucket.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel worthy, because there's deep down an unconscious inauthenticity that this lie is creating, that you're not worthy of holding on to wealth. So your self-worth is affected by it.
For sure.
That impacts your net worth.
Yeah, no, totally. And I, looking back on it, being able to reflect over the last week, especially after having this breakthrough, was that every time something went wrong in the relationship, it would go back to that internal, well, I'm not deserving, so I need to work harder. I need to plow more into this. I need to buy this ticket to go and meet him because I'm not doing enough to make this work.
You became present to those thoughts.
Yeah.
That were happening all the time throughout the relationship.
For sure. For the last 3-4 years, where just playing, I need to do more because, this is my fault that it's not working out, and everything else with them wasn't the truth whatsoever.
Well, I'm so proud that you came to this realization. And something interesting happens to the people, to my clients, when we're working one-on-one. By the way, if you haven't already joined the Art of Powerful Alignment Facebook group, I'm going to leave a link at the bottom there, the Art of Powerful Alignment, because we can continue this conversation. One of the cool things that happens is after you have this realization, you then become inspired to a higher purpose. You start to fall little tidbits of what's the word I'm looking for? Inspiration, or the path starts to open up a little. What has emerged for you, Megan, as far as your desire, as a calling? What have you noticed? What have you been seeing over the past little while that's tuning you in on the direction that you'd like to move towards?
Well, it's literally like how you put it, like making my mess my message, and wanting to take this power, like this story that I've had and everything that I've gone through to help empower like other young women or adolescents who are going through the same shit, like the anxiety, the depression, becoming lost within a relationship, even at this point, like where I finally realized I lost myself in that relationship, and helping to empower them to really be the highest version of themselves, because I know that there's so much power in my story.
Beautiful. Because you're a nurse. What do you see sometimes in the hospital? You're in the ER, right?
Yeah.
What have you noticed that really, you become really, it catches you?
Yeah, it's it's there constantly. The impact of suicide, especially, and I've seen it in kids as young as 12, 12, 13 years old, who they have this suicidal ideation, who they don't want to go on living anymore. But I want, going through my story and going through my journey, I want to help them to build their resiliency and their coping, and to see the truth that lies underneath it.
Totally. And I'm throwing my hat in the ring, and you've inspired me. This story's inspired me. So what I'm saying here is we're going to create an event out in Toronto within the next few months. We only have a limited seating for about 15, but what I'm going to do is every ticket purchased will go towards a teenager who is going through a depression, who would like to learn the personal development tools to be able to transcend it and get them real and tell the truth and restore that truth, the integrity in their lives. For anybody who that would be benefiting, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring and say, when we come to Toronto, that I'd like to have you be part of the organizing committee of getting, a group of young individuals learning these tools so that they can actually become leaders in their communities rather than victim to their stories and lies. And that's what I'd love to do. So
I'm excited.
Make sure you join the Art of Powerful Alignment group. So I'm just saying, Meaghan, I'd like to partner up with you on this, and let's do
it.
Your vision is part of my vision, so I wanted to share that.
Awesome.
Want to see if there's some people on and wanted to ask any questions that you guys have. I'm just so proud of you, Meaghan. I wanted to acknowledge you for going over that difficult, investing in yourself. What I wanted to say to people here is that don't do it alone. It's not easy to do it alone, because as you can tell, if you have your family and you have friends around you, sometimes their opinion, if you have a shared past with them, their opinion won't be well received. So it's good to have somebody that you really trust, that sees the highest version of you, that can give you that strategic feedback, that you can actually go in there and tell the truth with no judgment. Mm-hmm. There's a place of no judgment that needs to be kind of created before you actually take that step and tell the truth. Because most of the time we want to be able to be real, but we don't feel like we're going to be accepted or we're going to be judged for it. So one of the things that I love doing in the overview experience is to create that space of non-judgment and love so that people can just unload their truth. I mean, I'm doing it all weekend myself. So it's really cool to be able to create that. And I want to say that I'm addicted to these workshops. I've been suggested by some of my business associates and colleagues. They say, I don't do live events. I don't want to lose money, said one of my colleagues. And what I have to say to that is that there's a spirit that is created in these live events that is beyond worrying about money, because they are expensive to run. It does take a lot of effort to get 12 people in a room, 15 people, 20 people in a room from all over, because we could easily do it from the comforts of our home, from this, this webcast type of thing. But there's something to say about getting yourself out of your environment, going all in, really kind of connecting deep with people from all over the world who are on a similar path and a journey. And we all kind of take off our masks together and get real and raw. And it's pretty special. And I've jumped back on the horse. I don't care if it makes money or doesn't. It's something that needs to happen, because of what gets created and transformed. So thank you, Meaghan, for believing in yourself, investing in yourself, jumping in. And then I can't wait to see the amazing ripple effect that your transformation and your kind of telling the truth is going to give to the world. So thank you.
Thank you. I wouldn't be able to be here and share this without you and without this incredible method and just, doing, the hard work, but it really is a blessing.
For those of you who are listening and you just kind of, it's resonating with you, if this is something that you want to kind of participate in, taking applications actually for working together, you want to join the Art of Powerful Alignment Facebook group. And if you want to apply to work with understanding what lies, what fables, what stories that you're telling that's actually getting in your way so that you can transcend them. And then do as Meaghan is working towards doing, is getting past that pit into a place where she can actually help transform other people. This is an opportunity for you to do so. Please send me a private message, reach out, and I'd love to be able to see if this is something that you're ready for. It's not for everybody. Can you see how?
Not for everyone.
Can you see how people have to be ready for it, Meaghan?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you have to say to people kind of who are on the fence? Who do you think this is for?
Oh, if you're on the fence, just jump. Like, I know it's hard to do that. And there was a point where I thought I wasn't ready even up to that first workshop, but you're like, without sounding, whatever, your life will change, like, because you will get your power back and you'll recognize, the strength you have within yourself to be able to really live the highest version of yourself.
Yeah.
And, I'm so grateful for you, Nima, and for the work that we've done together. And I look forward to what's to come, because I know that the next while is going to be pretty shit-tastic in all senses. And, but I'm excited because I'm finally at a place where I can see more clearly, because the lie isn't clouding my vision anymore.
Beautiful. And I just want to thank you for overcoming your fear because each time you were about to step into one of these transformations, your ego wants to hold you back and say, no, I'm not ready. It's not the right time. I can't afford. This is not, there's always this wanting to perpetuate the lie that happens. And so that's the ego. And so I want to congratulate you and acknowledge you for stepping through that to the other side and getting that transformation, because the result of this is that more people's lives are going to be impacted because of the fact that you stepped into it. So thank you again, Ms. Meaghan, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of my life.
No problem. Thank you, buddy. Love ya.
Love you. And I wanted to say, if you have any questions, please, in the group, The Art of Powerful Alignment, request to join, and let's continue this conversation of the stress of telling lies and how it can make you sick.